Four games tonight. The last one just ending with the Clippers taking care of business versus the Toronto Raptors. It's your boy Big Kev for NBA Central After Hours. Just got home from work. Hop right on. We're going to get into it right after the intro.
Thank you for tuning in to the number one place for your basketball fix, NBA Central, hosted by the Cognac Boys.
Well, what's the word to my late night basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central After Hours. It's your boy Big Kev holding it down for the entire crew who pretty much probably all sleep. You know, I'm the late night guy over here. We see you guys in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, and share. Go ahead and hit us up at NBA Central Pod at gmail.com with any comments, concerns, or questions. Now, let's get right into it. And we are going to start with the doggone Cleveland Cavaliers taking care of business, coming back from, I think, 14 down to defeat the Brooklyn Nets 105-100 at home. And let me tell you, man, this Brooklyn Nets team is solid. They are a solid team. They better than people probably thought they would be coming into the season, but they just did not have enough to hold on versus a team that knew that they didn't want to lose this winning streak. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers are 11-0 before they take on the Chicago Bulls on Monday. Man, their next few games, these guys can really, before they play the Boston Celtics, which would be a big game, and I think it's going to be a NBA Cup game next week on the 17th. They got the Bulls, the Sixers, the Bulls, and the Sixers game is probably an NBA Cup game. But at the end of the day, the Sixers, we don't know what they're going to look like, if Embiid is going to be out there or not. And then they got the Hornets, who are also playing good basketball, and then the Nets. The Celtics. So they're looking to keep this thing rolling, and I don't see why they won't keep it rolling. They're hot right now. These guys are taking care of business night in and night out. They came back in pretty much every game tonight. Was a comeback game, a comeback win. We'll get into the other three games, but we'll talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers for a few seconds and what's working well for them. It first starts with Kenny Atkinson. He has put his stamp on this team as a head coach. They did not have an identity last season. You did not know who was going to show up night in and night out. Donovan Mitchell was inefficient. He was a gun playing old school Kobe type basketball. This season, he's not doing that. I mean, like tonight, for example, he was 5 for 12 from the field, 8 for 8 from the free throw line, 4 for 6 from three, 22 points from Donovan Mitchell, and he was not your leading scorer. He's not out there hunting shots. Darius Garland gave it to you in the fourth quarter, took care of business, hit some big shots down the stretch, 20 points for him, 8 of 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from three, only 3 turnovers from him and only 1 turnover from Donovan Mitchell. And then you had Evan Mobley, 10 for 11 from the field, 1 for 1 from three, 23 points, 16 rebounds, 4 steals, and 1 block. And that 1 block came at the end of the game as Brooklyn was trying to keep it close and make it a fight to the end. He just swatted that thing out of there. And man, what a big game for him. And then, of course, off the bench, you had Karis LeVert come in and do his thing. And the Cavaliers usually put up more points than they did tonight. They only scored 105, but they grinded this win out. And the good teams win games that they're supposed to lose. And that's what's happening right now to improve to 11-0. And I got to say, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with how the Cleveland has started. I mean, if you're not impressed, you're just a hater. And I know as a Chicago Bulls fan, it's difficult for me to even give credit for teams in my division. But I like to see what I'm seeing from the Cleveland Cavaliers. They brought back their core four and Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Donovan Mitchell, and these guys are taking care of business. They're doing what they've been paid to do. They all re-up pretty much on new contracts, and Evan Mobley has taken a step forward this season. I mean, like he's playing at an all-star level so far this season. You can't be mad at the output. Big men don't really have to score that much anymore in this modern NBA, but he's averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 53% from the field. And these guys are getting it from somebody else every single night. It's not just the Donovan Mitchell show, which it was pretty much for the last season and a half when everybody was kind of wondering if he was going to leave after the season. He said, no, I'm running it back with my guys. They outscored Brooklyn 35-18 in the fourth quarter to secure this win. They didn't look like they were going to get the win, but hey, hopefully my Chicago Bulls can stop the streak when they played them on Monday. Over on the other side, Brooklyn, they did pretty much everything right except the fourth quarter. They ran out of gas. It reminds me of what happened with the Chicago Bulls versus Minnesota the other night. Dorian Finney-Smith gave you 10 points. Cam Johnson, who's having a great season, gave you 23 points. Nicholas Claxton gave you 10 points, 10 rebounds. Dennis Schroeder, who man, he is a godsend for these guys. He is out there just running the show, steadying the ship, gave you 22 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 7 of 14 from the field. And of course, Cam Thomas, their guy, 22 points, 6 for 17 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, not really efficient, but he was 8 for 8 from the line and 6 assists as well, but he did have 6 turnovers. They got nothing from their bench. They got nothing from the bench. 19, 11, 12, 13, 14 points for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 points from their bench. That wasn't enough to get them over the hump. They shot 43 threes. That's the new NBA. Teams are going to be shooting that many threes pretty much every night. But hey, I like what I'm seeing from the Brooklyn Nets early in the season. Even though they've been losing some tough games, they lost a tough game the other game, like tonight. They lost a tough game to Boston earlier this week, and then they also lost a tough game to Denver. Those are 3 really, really good teams that Brooklyn took down to the wire, and they also took Cleveland down to the wire tonight. So shout out to the young Brooklyn Nets team, at least playing entertaining basketball. I've been enjoying what I've been seeing from them so far this season. All right, let us know what y'all think in the comments down below. How y'all feeling about the Cleveland Cavaliers? 11-0, 6-0 at the crib. Nobody had these guys having that type of record to start the season, because if you did, you are lying. All right, if you feel like lying, go ahead and lie. They are one of only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that have a record above 500. The Knicks are at 500, and a bunch of teams are 4-5, 4-6, so on and so forth. So the East has started off slow, and frankly, they've been getting beat up on by the Western Conference as usual. I think the Western Conference like 31-3 against the Eastern Conference so far this season. All right. Moving right along to my Chicago Bulls, a game in which the Chicago Bulls were losing by, I believe, 16 or 18 points at one point, and it's just been the way they are. They've been playing this season. They come all the way back to defeat the Atlanta Hawks 125-113, outscoring them by 20 points in the fourth quarter. Basically, what happened to them the other night versus the Minnesota Timberwolves when they gave up 45 points to Anthony Edwards and them in the fourth quarter. And again, this was an all-around effort for the Chicago Bulls from the starters and the bench alike. Patrick Williams, a little bit more aggressive than usual, didn't hit any threes, but did have 10.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks tonight. Nikola Vucevic has been steady all season for the Chicago Bulls. And hey, let me give a round of applause to Nikola Vucevic. I'm not even sure if I've done it on this channel. I owe Nikola Vucevic an apology. When the Bulls said that they wanted to run more up-tempo this season, 14 seconds or less approach to basketball, I just felt like Nikola Vucevic did not have a fit. He didn't fit into that mode of basketball. Boy, has he proven me and the rest of the guys wrong. This guy has been the most consistent Bull this season. He's definitely playing at the All-Star level. And frankly, if the Bulls continue to hover around 500, he will make the All-Star team. He's playing even better than Evan Mobley. 21 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 60% from the field. That guy is out there balling. And frankly, the Bulls have left a lot of points on the floor for Nikola Vucevic. Vuce could easily be averaging 25 to 26 points a game if they would play through him, but they like to fall in love with the 3, just like every other team in the NBA. So you got that stat line from him. Kobe White has been kind of inconsistent all season, but tonight he was steady, 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds for him. And Zach LaVine coming back from injury tonight, 7 for 12 from the field, only 1 for 5 from 3, 7 assists, 18 points for him, and only 3 turnovers. We know he's been kind of sloppy with the ball. And Josh Giddey leading this team at point guard with 13.7 assists, 2 steals, and 6 rebounds. But the bench, especially in the third quarter, came in and helped the Chicago Bulls fight back to take the lead. Starting with Jalen Smith, 10 points, 5 rebounds. And then you got Dalen Terry, who was all over the place. We like to call him Crash Bandicoot out here in Chicago. 9 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds. Julian Phillips Montes Bazelis didn't do much, only 5 minutes, 0 points. But Julian Phillips, 4 for 8 from field, 2 big threes, 4 offensive rebounds for the young fella, and 1 block to go along with 2 steals, 10 points off the bench. I did not like seeing Jalen Carter out there. We do not like him out here, but hey, he was out there. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything good either. He gave you no points, but he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't take any bad shots the way that he usually does. But Io, for some reason, when Io sees Trae Young on the court, his eyes light up and he takes care of business. 19 points from my man Io from the south side of Chicago, 4 points, 1 block. 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 2 for 3 from 3, 7 to 10 from field. That guy had himself a game. In the Bulls, when they decide not to fall in love with the three, they win basketball games. They only took 39 tonight. I know that's crazy saying only 39, but they made 13 of them, and they took care of business at the free throw line, making 20 for 23. They did have 17 turnovers, but they were able to overcome them tonight versus the Atlanta Hawks. Hey, the Atlanta Hawks are not a bad team this season. They're okay. They're 4-7 on the year. They took care of the New York Knicks the other night. Zachary Risa is taking care of business. He's getting a little bit better. He did have 17 points to go along with 2 blocks, but only 2 rebounds. That's not good. Jalen Johnson has to take a step forward this season. We like him over here on NBA Central. 20 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds for him. Clint Capella, the old man on the squad, 20 points for him and 9 rebounds to go along with 1 block. Trae Young, though, he did have 16 assists. He had 16 assists, but only 14 points on 6 for 16 from the field. Just not good enough. They need him to put the ball in the basket a little bit more. Those 6 turnovers also hurt. And then you had Daniels with 16 points, but their bench could not match Chicago's bench tonight. Larry Nance Jr. won only 6 points. Okongwu with 8, 0 points from Roddy, 8 points from Gary Matthews, and 4 points from Wallace. Just not enough. They were only 9 for 29 from the 3, 41 for 89 from the field, which is under 50%. 22 for 30 from the free throw line, so they left some points out there, and they themselves had 13 turnovers. So y'all already know over here on NBA Central with Chicago Bulls fans, it feels good to see them get a win. I've been telling my guys all year that the Chicago Bulls would be fun and bad. They would be a fun team to watch and a bad team to watch at the same time. And if I think this is the third time that they've had to come back from a 15 plus point deficit to get a win, and they got that win tonight to improve to 4-6, and they're winning on the road at that. They're winning more on the road than they have been at the crib, which is a crazy stat. Now, moving on to the Utah Jazz versus the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the Utah Jazz had only 1 win coming in tonight, and that first win came against the Chicago Bulls last week. I was not excited about that one, especially because Utah at the time didn't have Lauri Markkanen. They also did not have Jordan Clarkson, and there was a couple of other people who were out. But a couple of guys made it back tonight. Lauri Markkanen came back tonight, and the Utah Jazz get the win over the San Antonio Spurs in San Antonio, 111 to 110. It came down to not necessarily a buzzer beater. Utah made their free throws at the end. San Antonio was down by 4. They got not a garbage time, but they got a banker 3 at the buzzer to pretty much mess up somebody's bet. I don't gamble, but somebody bet a certain type of over under, and that 3 either help somebody win some money or help somebody lose some money. I know how that go. But Lauri Markkanen had 20 points tonight to go along with 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He looked good in his return, 36 minutes for him. And then you had Williams with 0 as a starter. That's terrible. Walker Kessler has taken a step back. He's usually a double-double type guy, but only gave you 7 points, 5 rebounds in 19 minutes. Colin Sexton was solid, though. 8 for 13 from the field, 23 points from my man's there. And Isaiah Collier with 7 points. 15 points for John Collins off the bench. The bench was solid tonight. Kyle Filipowski with 8. off the bench, Patty Mills with 5 off the bench, Jordan Clarkson with 16 points off the bench, and then you had 10 points for Juzang. Um, that was a good enough for them to get the win. They did take 33 threes. And they had 17 turnovers. It was a close game, but listen, this game is about how poorly San Antonio played down the stretch. This is a game that they should have won. They should have won this game. They outscored Utah by 8 in the third quarter, and it was just back and forth throughout the rest of the night. And the reason why I say that they should have won is because Victor Wembanyama was having one of the better games that he's had this season. He's starting to turn it around. 24 points and 16 rebounds to go along with 7 blocks for Victor Wembanyama. 7 blocks. And Stephon Castle with 23 points. And off the bench, Devin Vassell coming back from injury with 21 points himself. It's just they just didn't have enough. They didn't get enough from Chris Paul. Chris Paul was 0 for 6 from the field. All of them were threes. Didn't take any layups, any mid ranges. All threes, missed all of them. Did hit 3 free throws and give you 9 assists. But if you get one made basket from Chris Paul tonight, San Antonio wins this game. Another reason why they lost this game. They shot 47 threes. That's just not good. You hit 17 of them. I know we're playing the numbers game, the analytics, so on and so forth. But when I look at 47 three attempts, I think, hey, you take 10 less threes and 10 more attempts around the basket. Maybe you get more free throw attempts. Maybe you hit a couple of more layups and you get a win versus a bad Utah Jazz team. You can't be shooting 53s and expecting to win games when you're not that good of a three-point shooting team. But hey, they almost made 40% of them. They needed to make 1 or 2 more to get the victory. In the last game of the night, the LA Clippers, it seems like every single night the Clippers are in a game that comes down to the wire. They did get the win though, 105 to 103 versus the Toronto Raptors. It was a good game. Jakob Poeltl had an opportunity to send it to overtime. He missed a free throw on purpose with about 5 seconds to go. He made the first free throw, missed the second one, got the rebound, and in my opinion, he should have, gathered himself, attacked the basket. He had enough time to do it, but he got the rebound and tried to shoot it back in off the rebound instead of attacking the basket, and that's what lost him the game. The Clippers got the rebound, throw the ball up, and there's a win. Jakob Poeltl though with 5 points in the loss to go along with 12 rebounds and 3 assists. RJ Barrett was just awful tonight, 6 for 15 with 13 points, minus 11. Emmanuel Quickly, back from injury, first game since opening night, he was solid, 21 points, 8 for 18 from the field, some big buckets down the stretch. Agbaji, former Kansas Jayhawk, he was solid tonight with 21 points and 7 rebounds. Grady Dick did a good job tonight too with 15 points. And Boucher, he was around the basket. He was the person that was benefiting from offensive rebounds. They had a lot of offensive rebounds tonight. 12 offensive rebounds for the Toronto Raptors for I think 20 points. So they did everything they could to win, but they just fell short. On the other side, Derrick Jones Jr. with only 4. Zubac with 14 and 10. 14 and 12. Another double-double from him. James Harden was not efficient, but he lived at the free throw line, which he was known to do earlier in his career. 24 points from him on 5 for 17 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3. Both of those threes were big. He also had 12 rebounds and 7 assists. Then you had Terrence Mann with just 4 points, but Norman Powell, one of my favorite NBA players. I remember him in Toronto. I wish the Bulls would have traded for him. He gave you 24 points, and this is off of a double-double last night. 24 points, 7 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 7 and 9 from the free throw line. He just does everything that you need a basketball player to do. Hit some big shots down the stretch, some big free throws down the stretch to help them secure the win. And Kevin Porter Jr., back in the NBA, 15 points, 2 for 2 from 3 tonight, 5 for 9 from field off the bench to help the Clippers get their fourth straight victory, and another victory at the crib after losing their first 4 games at home. They've won their last 3. And I didn't know this, but Jeff Van Gundy is now on the coaching staff for the LA Clippers, and he's helping them play defense. Defensively, the LA Clippers are taking care of business. It's really how they're winning their basketball games, is by locking down on defense. So it was a good 4 games tonight. Don't have to worry about talking about 15, 20, 12 to 13 games like we have the last couple of times that I've been on here. But again, the Eastern Conference has been a struggle with the exception of the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, who have taken off. The rest of the guys are struggling at 500 or below. And honestly, points wise, a lot of these teams aren't really putting up a lot of points. Cleveland, for example, is putting up 122 points, and Boston's putting up 120 points, and that's pretty much what you want to kind of see in today's basketball type of landscape. And on the flip side, they're only giving up 110 and 109 respectively. But the Knicks, a Tom Thibodeau team, scoring only 113, giving up 108. So you know they're gonna play defense, but they got to score more. Charlotte at 4-5 in the number 4 spot. They're giving up. They're scoring less than they're giving up. 110 points scored, 113 giving up. You see it that a lot of these teams are not scoring more than 115 points a game in the Eastern Conference, and it's hurting them in the entire landscape in the landscape of the NBA. Where if you look on the other side, Golden State's averaging 120, Minnesota's 116, Denver 120, Memphis 119. A lot of these guys too aren't putting up a lot of points either. So hey, maybe all these threes that they're taking, some of these teams can come back down to earth, start going down low and scoring baskets, drawing fouls, and shooting free throws, because this 53 is a game thing. It might look good on paper for analytics, but it's not helping the NBA. That's part of the reason why viewership is down, because fans kind of want to see basketball and not just 3-point competitions. All right, 4 games tonight. Tomorrow, let's see what it's looking like. You know, it's NBA day, but I mean it's NFL day, but we should have a couple of games. Let me see real quick. Well, my computer is tweaking out. Sunday games, you got the Rockets and the Pistons early. Pistons looking good. They got a couple of close. They had a close loss to Charlotte and a close win last night. Cade Cunningham has 3 straight triple doubles. I think that's the first time that's happened since Grant Hill back in the '90s. The Celtics and Bucks. The Bucks are struggling 2-7, so we'll see if they can get a win versus the Celtics. The Knicks and Pacers. This is a rematch from the playoffs, I believe. That's a big game, especially with Tyrese Halliburton struggling to start the season. Maybe he can start to jumpstart, kickstart something going for him. The Magic and Wizards, nothing really to talk about there. The 76ers are 1-7. Paul George is back. Joel Embiid is still serving his suspension, and they're playing against a very spirited Hornets team with LaMelo Ball and my boy Brandon Miller taking care of business out there. They had a big win the other night too. So shout out to the Hornets for playing interesting basketball early in the season. Then you got the Heat versus the Timberwolves. We'll see how they do. The Warriors and Thunders are going at it. The Warriors have started off pretty well, 7-2. The Thunder are 8-1. That should be a good game. Mavericks and Nuggets. That should be a good game as well. The Mavericks are 5-4. The Nuggets are 6-3. Kings and Suns. The Suns are quietly 8-1, led by my man KD out there playing like he's still in his 20s. The Grizzlies and Trailblazers are going at it, and then the Raptors and the Lakers. So it's a lot of games tomorrow night. Should be able to jump back on here for NBA Central after hours once the last West Coast game is done. Make sure you guys join us. Go ahead and comment. Keep your boy company. Maybe I'll have one of the other guys in here with me as well after we do all the football games and things like that. All right, if you guys don't already follow the rest of the Chi-Town Sports family, just like you following NBA Central, go ahead and follow Chi-Town Sports Central, Chicago Bulls, Bears, Sky, Blackhawks, White Sox, Cubs Central, and the NBA, the Chi Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. They do live calls of all Chicago Bulls games, every single game. And of course, if you guys are following Chicago Bears Central, we will be live tomorrow for pregame, during the game, and post-game activity with Hayes, Bobby, Steve-O, C-Dub, and myself. So go ahead and follow Chicago Bears Central. Check us out tomorrow as the Bears take on the New England Patriots. It's your boy, Big Kev. Appreciate you guys for rocking with me late at night. We're going to holler at y'all next time. Peace.